What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy White Trash Trucker, and I'm coming at y'all today with a long overdue White Trash Trucker video coming at you all from Chicago, Illinois. Now, before I jump right into it, let me remind you, because perhaps you forgot, perhaps you're just unaware, perhaps you're walking around with your head in your ass, perhaps you're walking around with your head in your clouds. I don't really give a shit, but you better know and you better remember that I'm still the trashiest freaking trucker out here on YouTube, and respect that white trash finger, y'all. Alright, let me jump into it. Back to MGR and why. Back to MGR and why. Alright, so for those of you all who have been keeping up with my videos, I appreciate your subscriber base. Please like, share, and subscribe. Now, if you are looking for information on MGR, you're in luck, because a lot of my information is kind of outdated. Not completely, but it's not up to date. I haven't put out any information on MGR in a really long time. So definitely you should subscribe to my channel so that you're getting all the latest information about MGR. As I have returned to MGR, we'll continue to put out more content about my experience and how everything is going over here at MGR. You know, I kind of got a little weak when I was at MGR putting out videos towards the end, a lot because I kind of was running out of things. I was running out of things to talk about, but since I'm over here, I can kind of like redo the whole journey, so I'm gonna kind of reinvigorate the MGR information over here. All right, so back to MGR and why did I come back? Well, I guess we got to start with why did I leave Schneider. For those of you all been following me, I was at Schneider National, owner-operator over there. I'm going to do a whole video on the pros and cons of working at Schneider National. This is what I will say about them. It's not a bad place to work. It's not a bad place to work at all. It's just not for everybody. Just like MGR, it's not for everybody. Not every company is for everybody. Everybody has different experiences at every different company. There's a lot of things that I liked about Schneider National. The main things that I didn't like over at Schneider National is I did not like my business manager over there at all. She talked down to me like I was a company driver. She really, when she got on the phone with me, she would try and fucking lecture me. And I don't like being lectured to, especially when I'm an owner-operator. You know, I'm not over at Schneider as a lease operator. You didn't open any fucking doors for me to get my truck. I came over here with my truck and with my experience. You know what I mean? I mean, you should never talk to anybody really like that, but you definitely shouldn't talk to an owner-operator like that, because I can take my truck anywhere that I want it to, anywhere that I want to go. And I got this truck before. You all didn't give me the opportunity to get this truck. You know, or whatnot, so I just didn't like that. And people shouldn't talk down to anybody in general, to be honest with you. It's sad that I have to say something like, I'm an owner-operator, so you're not going to treat me like shit. Nobody should really be getting treated like shit. I don't even care if they are a company driver. But I just didn't like the tone. I felt like I didn't like the way that relationship was at all. There's a lot of rules over at Schneider National, and long story short, there was a situation that occurred. Schneider, you know, I might go into this with more detail on my long overview of Schneider National, but there's a situation that occurred in which I wanted to do there was a breakdown, and the way that I wanted to handle it, needed to handle it, made, you know, logical sense, perfectly logical sense. But Schneider wanted me to handle it another way, and the thing was, is that the way they wanted me to handle it was costing me a lot more money, and yeah, so we just went separate ways from there, and yeah, so that was it. So anyways, so no longer at Schneider National, and I do what you know you do whenever you're out of work. You immediately start looking for a job. So why did I come back to MGR? Well, to be honest with you, kind of like as soon as all this happened, I was like, I'm just gonna go back to MGR. I need to get back to work. I know what MGR is all about. You know what I mean? And yeah, so that was really kind of like my first thought. But then I got it in my head, I was like, well, let me not just get too hasty. I know I'm comfortable over at MGR. I think because I get along really well with the people over here, that was my first inclination, because that was my thing over at Schneider. I'm like, I don't fucking get along with these people over here. I mean, these people don't even know me. My business manager, I try and get to know her, but she's always giving me fucking talking down to me for no reason. And it's just like, I just don't do well in a corporate environment, yo. Like, I was in the military, you know, I've talked about that, and I did not do well in the military. I don't do well in highly structured environment. I just don't, you know. I don't like to really, I don't mind taking direction, but there needs to be more of a relationship there, especially if what you're talking to me about is not a black and white situation. I don't know if that makes sense. So I just don't do well in like a corporate environment. Not that, you know, being a truck driver at Schneider is corporate, but it is a big company and it does have more of a corporate feel. I mean, for God's sakes, you gotta wear a fucking safety. There's a dress code, you know, just to walk around the terminal. I mean, you gotta wear a vest and boots. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it is a safety thing, but I'm just saying there's a lot of rules over there. It definitely, you know, there's definitely a lot of rules over there. Okay, let me not get too off track. I don't want to carry this video on too long. So I left Schneider and I first thought about, yo, I'm gonna go back to MGR. But then I thought to myself, let me not get so hasty, because it's very easy to go back. It's comfortable to go back. It's what you know. But let me go ahead and do some research. There might be an opportunity out there I don't want to overlook. So I probably sat at the house for like 2.5, 3 weeks on the phone all day, every day, calling companies. I called at least 50 companies. At least 50 companies, at least. I probably called 100 companies. I was on the phone all damn day. Calling one company. I was on Craigslist in Charlotte, Craigslist in Atlanta, Craigslist in Chicago. You know what I mean? I was like, you know, Craigslist in Buffalo, New York. Oh, you know, and I debated, you know, should I do local? Should I do reefer? Should I do flatbed? All these things all went through my mind. And, you know, what I found was this. My first inclination was to come back to MGR. My whole thing was like, if I don't find, I have to find something that would appear to be, you know, better, solidly better than the opportunity over here at MGR. You know what I mean? And I didn't find that. I did not find that. I found a couple opportunities. I mean, out of 100 companies, I found a couple opportunities, a couple companies that were close or the same from what I thought, but like one was Mercer, but not drive-in. I wouldn't go to their drive-in division, but their flatbed division. But the thing is with Mercer is, first off, you got to do flatbed. And the thing like with flatbed is this, right? You know, you gotta tarp, you gotta get out here and do this. I mean, you gotta do this stuff, and how much more money are you gonna make? And, you know, do you want to, you know, as we're going into the winter season, do I really want to be out there in the cold doing this, you know, tarping? I mean, I already got issues. I just don't, you know, it is more work, and for how much more money? I do think that you can make pretty decent money over there at Mercer doing flatbed. You know what I mean? I think it's a solid place to work for sure. I would not shy anybody away from going over there. I've only heard good things, but I just didn't think that was for me. I wasn't 100% sure the flatbed was for me. I talked to some reefer companies. I thought about doing reefer. Reefer was actually a little bit easier for me to rule out, and I'll tell you but why. It's real simple. It's called math. Typically, when I saw most of the companies that were with reefer, they wanted to charge, okay, you're gonna make more with reefer, you know, supposedly you're gonna make more with reefer, but here's the thing, okay, you're gonna make more reefer, but your trailer rent is typically more expensive, you know, by a couple $100 more a month, like $200 a month is what I kept on hearing. About $200 more than it is over here at MGR. So about $200 more than what I pay over here at MGR. So that's $200 more that I gotta pay. Then you got trailer washouts you gotta do. So, you know, like when you have like blood and chicken and raw food in there, which could be 2 or 3 times a week. And then also, and by the way, you got to go get that done. That's time out of your day just to get that trailer wash done. I mean, this is time now. Now you're talking about money and time being wasted on trailer washouts. And then on top of that, you got to pay for the fuel in the reefer. Yeah, you got to pay for the fuel in the reefer, which is a couple $100 a week. So paying a couple $100 a week for the fuel. You're paying a couple $100 a month for extra more for a reefer trailer, plus you got to pay for the washouts, and then also you got to deal with weird shipper times, from what I understand. And a lot of times, from what I understand, the loads can be a little bit heavier. You know what I mean? They could be a little bit heavier. With drive-in, you can consistently get light loads. I mean, I typically get lighter loads pretty consistently, not all the time, but consistent. Typically, yeah. I don't take a lot of really heavy shit. So with reefer, it was like I just didn't really see. I didn't really I didn't really see a point. So, you know, that being said, I just decided that, you know, MGR was, out of talking to, you know, a lot of companies looking at hundreds and hundreds of jobs, you know, I just decided that, yo, like, MGR is as good for sure or better than any other company. And this is really gets to the reason about my experience over here at MGR and with business. First off, I don't really know as much as I thought that I knew when I first got started. When I first started making a lot of videos, yeah, I'm a quick learner. I figured out a lot of things about rates and lanes and actually what I was doing and why I was getting these deductions and just like the whole thing, kind of like all the things that go into running a truck and just I kind of figured out like the broad picture. But what I didn't understand was, and this is something that you can only really learn from experience, is that, yo, money, you know, this is a market that we're on. The market goes up and it goes down, and I don't give a shit if you're here at MGR or you're at any other company. Yeah, the amount of money that you make is going to directly be affected by this. Yeah, because you know what? Because most of the time, a lot of the companies out here, we're all looking at the same jobs. You know what I mean? We're all looking at the same jobs. So, you know, there's no difference. And, you know, so when the market was like really good, I was making all this money over here at MGR or whatnot. Yeah, when the market was really good, I was making all this money over here at MGR. You know, I was like, it really blew my head up, and I had this impression of the trucking game, that this is how it was, and I knew maybe it wouldn't always be this good, but I didn't think it could get as bad for as long as it has. And when rates started to go down around January and February they started going down about July or August of last year, but by January and February of this year, I mean, it was really fucking shitty. And me and my dispatcher made a couple bad decisions, let me say they weren't the best decisions. We started going out west trying to chase money, trying to get some big, you know, gross loads, and then, you know, we would make money one week and we would come up pretty much completely empty the next week. And so we did that a couple times, and yeah, at that point, I wanted to believe that it was MGR the reason why I wasn't making the money that I previously was, So I that's why I switched up companies. But you know, as I learned a lot more about this game and this business, and you know, I realized, you know, all my friends and everybody I know that's being honest about being an owner operator, this has been a terrible year. It's been trash. It's been fucked up. And a lot of people are not making money. A lot of people are not making money. A lot of people are going out of business. A lot of bigger companies have even went out of business. And people that are making money, they're just making enough money to pay their bills. That's it. And so this understanding of, you know, the market and how it affects everything, really, it made me feel even more comfortable about coming back to MGR, because, you know, the real deal is, and what will keep me in trucking and keep me being an owner operator, you know what I mean, is the market. You know what I mean? The market plays a huge role in this. It's not everything, but it's almost fucking everything. You know what I mean? The key to being successful in this business is a good market and a good company. That's the key to this business. If you have a good market and a shitty company, you're fucked. You can have a good company and a bad market, and it's going to be really tough. But a lot of the jobs that I saw whenever I was looking at like coming back to MGR, what I would do, they're paying like maybe $1.35 or $1.40 a mile flat rate. And that's really what I started to come down to. Because over here at MGR, there's a lot more fluctuations and there are a lot more deductions. So you may make more, but you also have more deductions. And so the question becomes is, what's better? You know, I can take $1.35 a mile, $1.40 a mile, which sounds terrible to me, but at least it's guaranteed. Maybe I don't pay for trailer or insurance and maintenance on the trailer, and I don't pay for a whole lot of stuff or whatever, you know what I mean? I'm not paying for anything but my truck note and my bobtail liability insurance. You know, or I can go to MGR and pay all of these deductions, and when you chisel it down, yeah, it's not, you know, when you chisel off all the deductions, how much money are you making? Well, here's the difference, and here is the big difference. It all comes down to the lows that you're getting and the market that we're in. And if you go with a company that's paying flat rate like $1.35 a mile, whether the market, like, first off, that's just not that much money that you're gonna make at $1.35 a mile to keep me in as an owner operator. That may be enough money for me to be happy in a bad market, you know, because let's say I'm bringing home $2,000 a week, but to keep me in this long term, giving up my whole life to be an owner operator and traveling the country and all this bullshit and the breakdowns and the repairs and the headaches and all this shit, you know, it's not enough money, and you got to run a fuck ton of miles. At least over here at MGR, when the market does come back, I will immediately see that. You know what I mean? It'll immediately, oh, I'm sorry. I'll immediately see that, you know. So there's a lot more potential for the amount of money that you can make over at MGR versus a lot of these other companies. Now let me get into so that is a, you know, those are, you know, like the major reasons why you know, I decided to come back. Sorry, it's kind of late. It's like midnight here, so my brain is like going like a little bit haywire. But those are the reasons why I decided to come back to MGR. You know, I just felt like, you know, there's a lot more potential over here, and the market, you know, when the market comes back, then the money will definitely come back. Now, so the question really is this. Now I know where I wanted to go with this whole conversation. How am I feeling about the market? How am I feeling about rates over here right now? Let's talk about right now, and let's talk about the future. So, actually, another reason why I came back is because my dispatcher said that he's putting the money that he said that he was putting on his trucks sounded good. It sounded good. Of course, seeing is believing, but you know, I really trust my dispatcher. He's not gonna lie to me, especially when he knows I'll fucking come over here and call his bluff in a heartbeat. But I do feel like the market is getting a little bit better, okay? And this is, I will say this, I'm in Chicago. I've talked to almost everybody over here in orientation. Everybody that came out of orientation in Chicago got over $2 a mile out of the terminal. Over $2 a mile. In fact, I got $2.60 a mile. It's a shorter run for a weekend run, so it makes sense. I got $2.60 a mile. I got $1,300 for 400 and with deadhead 485 miles. So like right at, you know, loaded miles 475. So right at $2.60 a mile. 5,000 pound load. It's a nice load. It's a nice. It's not a huge load, but the rate is hot. So that's a good run. The guy next to me got over $2 a mile. Another guy went to Oklahoma, $2.11 a mile. A guy went to North Carolina, $2.17 a mile. So these are good rates. These are good rates that I saw coming out of here today, or over this week. Everybody that I talked to one driver over here. He's been out since Wednesday, and he's by Monday. He came out on Wednesday, and on Monday, he's gonna have you know, put 5,500 gross on the trucks. He's putting 5,500 gross on the truck in like, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, in like 5.5 days. That's good money. So we're gonna see what happens. I feel more positive than I did in my last video because shit has been so fucking bad for so long. Things have got to turn around. They have got to turn around. A lot of people's went into business, and the market has got to correct itself, because you cannot run a truck long term on the rates that they're giving us. You can't do it mathematically. It's fucking impossible. You can't run a truck at $1.80 a mile. You can't fucking do it. You can do it for a little while, but you can't do it over the long term, because you can't pay for maintenance and breakdowns and time off at $1.80 a mile. You know what I mean? You can do it for a short term to make a little bit of money, but eventually your truck repair or your payments, just everything is just going to be too much. So it's got to be more than $1.80 a mile. And so I think that it's going to correct itself, and I have no doubt that it will. And the question really is when, and I think that it's actually going to be sooner than later now, because it's already fucking later. It's been a good while. I mean, we have been in a dip in the trucking industry for coming up on a fucking year. So I think that things will turn around here shortly, and I'm glad to be back at MGR because I know that I'm going to be there when the money comes back. And I think that, like, due to all this whole learning experience, I really feel like I'm going to be here at MGR now long term, because I see that there's more than just a company out there. There's more affecting your profits as an owner-operator than just a company. Like I said, being successful in trucking is a combination of being leased on to the right company and the market. And you got to have both. You got to have both. And I don't think that all the time in this business, I hope, God forbid, I think that this is kind of like one of the worser times. But I got to be prepared, and I think us as owner-operators and people that want to be in business got to be prepared that, like, yo, there's going to be times when you're making money. You're going to be making money hand over fist. It's going to feel really fucking good, and you're going to feel like you're going to feel like you made it. I promise you. I always remember whenever I got my first real check over here at MGR. I think my first check over here at MGR after everything was like a little over $3,500. A little over $3,500. You know what that, like, when you make that much money in 1 week, or I think that was like 10 days or something like that. I can't remember. I think my first check from MGR was like $4,000, but it was like in a week and a half. I think it was. It was like $4,000, yo. In a week and a half. When I made that money, it was an unreal feeling. I was like, damn, like, when I couldn't even believe it that I made that amount of money. I mean, you're talking about making what somebody makes in a good, man, you're making more money than what a lot of people make in fucking 2 months. I mean, there's a lot of people out here making $500 a week. So times 4 weeks, that's, you know, they're making 1,600, maybe 2,000 a month. You're making $4,000 in a week. And when you see that money, even 3,500, even $3,000, anything over 3, man, that's when you're like, you're feeling extra. You know what I mean? But it's not always going to be that way. There's going to be weeks when you come up empty. There's going to be weeks where you have to have repairs. There's going to be time when the market is down, and you got to balance that out over the long term. And you got to be ready for them. You got to be ready for the slow seasons. For the slow seasons, your truck's got to be ready, because you're not going to be able to take the breakdowns. You got to be patient, and you got to be positive, and you also got to just be realistic and understand that this shit is really out of your control. And flip-flopping from one company to another company long term is not really the answer, you know. And so, you know, I'm back over here at MGR, and I'm going to be putting out a lot more content. My first load, like I said, I got a load coming out of here, $260 a mile, 5,000 pounds. I'm very happy with this load. We actually were talking about, me and my dispatcher, we come about this close to getting a load from here all the way to Arizona, paying $4,000 for like 1,900 miles, but that was with some empty miles. That was with all my empty miles in there too. It's like 1,700 for like 4 Gs. I really would have been happy with that load. We didn't get it, but I'm happy with this load, because you know what? Like I can play both. I could play both. If you're gonna give me, I don't mind focusing on gross, especially on them longer runs. And I mean, $2 a mile on, or it's over $2 a mile on 1,700 loaded miles. I'll take that all day, especially if I'm going to Arizona. It's nice country. It's a nice ride down there. I take that all day. So it seems like they're like, from just talking about what was out on the market and everything today with Luca, well, my dispatcher, Luca, but you know, shit sounded good. So I'm in a positive and uplifted mood. And like, share, subscribe. If you all got any questions or anything like that, you know, feel free to contact me on here. I'm going to be giving some information about the lease program, the lease to buy program over here, and just kind of keep you all updated, because I know there's not a lot of information on this company out here. And so that's the plan, y'all. So anyways, it's late. It's almost like it's past midnight here. So I hope this video reaches you well. And let me remind you, because some of you all have a tendency to forget, and some of you all think that I'm fucking around with you. Alright? And that's what pisses me off the most. So let me remind you, I'm still the trashiest trucker on YouTube. And don't you fucking forget it.